John the Baptist, his birth was not an accident. We read in the Old Testament about the things that he was about to do when he was older. As we look at John the Baptist's life, what we see is someone who is preparing the way for another. His job was not to be the answer, but to be a prophet, to be the one that was pointing everyone else towards the answer, pointing everyone towards Jesus.
John the Baptist is considered to be one of the great prophets in the Bible. In Matthew 11, verse 11, it says, "Amongst those born of women, there's no one greater than John the Baptist." Psalm 139 talks about how God knows us and has a plan for all our lives. John the Baptist was chosen for a life of service to God.
We see that John the Baptist is preparing the way for Jesus.
John the Baptist was sent ahead of Jesus, almost like clearing a building site, getting ready for the job to be done.
In verse 5, we see that John the Baptist had a focus on confession and baptism.
Getting baptized is an outward sign of something that's changed inside of us. When we repent and we choose to follow God's will rather than our own, then we can show that to the rest of the world by also being baptized in water. And water baptism, therefore, is very, very important for Christians. It's an important way of them showing that they're taking a step of faith.
He was responsible for encouraging people to become aware of their need for God. During lockdown, I think some of us have started to consider what our diets ought to be. Sometimes there are things that we just can't get hold of as readily, and so we have to adapt. I'm not quite sure whether locust and honey would be a favourite for my sandwich for lunchtime.
Have you heard of the Greek word entomorphagy? I hadn't until I started doing some research to speak about this. It's about eating insects. Apparently, insects have got 60% protein. More protein than traditional meats that we might eat. Maybe John the Baptist, in his diet, was actually setting an example of how to live in remote places, how to live a healthy diet, just living off whatever you can find.
The prophets have always been people who have been a little bit different. People who are prepared to be independently minded. People who are prepared to do what others might not do. Prophets can often be found in solitary places. They can often be found trying to get away from it all so that they might be able to hear clearly what God has got to say. That there would be after him someone more powerful, someone who he would not be worthy to stoop down and untie their sandals. John the Baptist said, "I baptize you with water, but he will baptize you with the Holy Spirit."